the privilege of being the governor of the Youth in Government program in 1952. In those days, they had high-Y clubs for boys and tri-Y clubs for girls with the Y. So I was in high school in San Mateo. I was a member of a high-Y club called the Dukes. I was interested in running, and one of the staff members at the Y there kind of took me under his wing. I was kind of an awkward, unsophisticated kid. The ideas that I had in the speech were mine, and the words and so forth, but I mean, he taught me delivery, he taught me what to dress, how to walk, and so forth. He helped me a lot. And actually, I would say one of the things that the Youth in Government program does is to teach people that government does have important things to do. There's been a lot of sort of stylish to denigrate government. It's just a bunch of politicians that's useless and so forth. Government performs very important functions. It's important to have good people there. And being a politician is not a dirty word. You want to have good politicians. And we've been fortunate in this area to have some. And of course, the youth that are going in the program this year are going to learn a lot about that process and hopefully come away with that sense of respect. So I feel really privileged to have been a part of it, and I hope that you will continue to support the program.
Well, you just heard everything I did in youth and government, and I absolutely loved it. It was definitely the highlight for me of my high school years, and served me well as I went on. I worked for 2 members of Congress, and my embarrassing knowledge of Robert Rules of Order served me very well when I worked there. But high school is a challenging time in many ways. It was especially challenging for me because it's when my dad died, and youth and government became the foundation that I think carried me forward, and that is in no way an exaggeration. It brought me joy. It gave me something happy to look forward to during some of my bleaker times, whether it was looking forward to the Wednesday night meetings at the Y, which I loved, or the many conferences. And besides the fun, it gave me an incredible community of friends and mentors who really looked out for me and supported me, and that was phenomenal. The other thing it gave me was an incredible sense that I could excel at something I loved, that I was competent, that I was strong, and that I was able. And now that I'm a mother, and I imagine the challenges my own daughter is going to face as she moves forward, there's nothing more I want for her than for her to know joy, and for her to feel strong, and for her to feel confident and able. And if there was an organization that I thought provided with all that, I would do everything I could to support it, and I hope they'll do the same. That's it. I started out a year ago. This is my 2nd year, and it really changed me. And a few months later, I even ran for vice president, and I think I did pretty well with that speech, and it was pretty much the most wonderful experience that I've had so far. The surge of confidence it gave me, the fact that people in my delegation were going to look up to me to help lead them this next year was amazing. And I think that kind of what the trust that you have inside the delegation and inside just the program itself is kind of one of the things that makes it most important. I know that for me, as well as for a lot of people, Wednesday is always the best stage of the week just because we're going to go to youth and government for an hour and talk about politics, which doesn't sound as exciting to some people, but we love it. I think that, honestly, this is the most life-changing experience that I've had, and I wouldn't trade the world for it. Thank you.
Since we are a community organization, essentially, one of the things we wanted to do with our legislation this year was address what we perceived to be a real issue in the community, and that specifically was suicide. So this year, one of the bills that we're taking to Sacramento that could become a part of not only youth and government state law, but actually California state law, is a modification to the education code, where we add a standard about what is known as emotional intelligence. So we want to introduce this idea of emotional intelligence into the school curriculum so that we can make sure from a very young age, age 6 in fact, that people know how to address their feelings, and they know how to deal with any strife that's coming up in their own personal lives. I'd also like to echo some of the previous comments about how fantastic youth in government is. When I started youth in government, I was basically a very shy, awkward, totally afraid of public speaking type of kid. Very difficult to socialize with people on the weekends or during the week. But youth in government has given me a family of probably the best friends I have, and maybe some of the best friends that I will ever have in my life. And these people are just wonderful. They're interested in politics, they're engaged, they're intelligent, and they're just like plain down funny. And I appreciate this, and I can't tell you how crucial youth in government has been to my in my life. Like Juliete and Jessica, Wednesday night meetings have been the best part of my life for the last, I guess it would be 2.5 years now.
A lot of things there, but everything's kind of a little bit outdated, and especially with teens, they require a lot more than you think. So I'm really working hard to implement some really great programs in there. Jack was saying rap. The kids like rap. If they like that, then let's work, a way to make that happen for them. So I would really, really love to bring some kind of dance program, music program, these things that the kids don't really have available at school. I don't want them to come home, come after school to Ventura and feel like they're still at school. That's not what I want to do. I would love to offer them a tutoring program, but also kind of other programs and other things so that they can explore their interests and the other things that they don't really have a chance to do.
Sitting in Scott's office one day 3 years ago, I asked Scott, what would you think if we wrote you a check for $10,000 with the provision that you spend it on college scholarships? He thought about that for about a microsecond and said, we'll do it. In a few short months, invented the criteria for the scholarships. They created the forms for people to apply. They marketed the scholarships. They got them into the thinking of the schools. They created collateral, these kind of brochures here. They put up a website. They got applications. They processed the applications. I think people on the board were among the people who actually reviewed them. I see people nodding their heads back here. And finally, they held an award ceremony, which was in the form of a dinner of the gymnasium at the Ross Road facility. Invited not only the students, they invited their families. So there we were, and there's 120 people. There are these 33 scholars, and these are good students, but many of them are immigrants. A lot of them are from broken homes. A lot of them have financial difficulties. Hands in the check, we see, boy, it's really, to me, an emotional moment. There's the kid, who's probably the biggest check he's ever seen in his life, made out to him or her. And there's the family out there at the table, smiling and enjoying the moment. It's really quite magical. I've been quite impressed with what Y has done. We basically said, here's some money, and they took it and ran with it. Every dollar that we contribute and other people like us contribute goes straight to the students. There is no overhead associated with the program. And it is the program that we contribute to that we get the most pleasure out of. That's $100,000 a year that I at least have in my mind as a target for the Y and its contributors to underwrite this program.
Yep.
Big number, but I sure do like the program.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, my name is Brenda Camacho, and I'm the oldest in my family, so I'm the first one to attend college. When I was in high school, I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't know what college I wanted to go into or how I was going to do it.
You're going to be very successful. I mean, to be through, kind of painful experiences and struggle and to succeed and continue to succeed, that's what it's all about.
I started in high school as an office assistant at eBird. When I really like working with computers and everything, and when I decided that I was going to be a computer science major, they offered me a position in QA. I work, they're flexible with my hours, but I work from 25 to 30 depending on the week hours, and having 18 units per semester.